Okay. Alright. Welcome back to Nicholas Comic Corner, classic / non-classic. This episode number 2781 and Doubleshot number 20. I think it's 2675. First, we're discussing Noah Volume 3. A short-lived volume from, I think this was like 2000, I think it was? Yeah. Only lasted 7 issues. Written and drawn by Eric Larson. Really? Yeah, really. This was probably Noah's next major appearance after the New Warriors book got canceled. At 75 issues. Yeah, a lot of the book is simply put where he's a bit arrogant, a little more arrogant than he was in the 90s. Where, like, one issue he's fighting Diamondback. He's having a tough time, so he basically demanded Captain America's gloves to beat the crap out of Diamondback. Yes, we have throwing Diamondback in here because basically he's Noah's arch nemesis at this point in time. And also he gets a chance to fight the Sphinx again. Yeah, and also the fact that Namora, she shows up in the book where her skin is peeling off. And apparently she thought that Rich thought she was grotesque. So she took a quick shower and the decaying skin came off and she just ended the relationship with him. Just like that, and just started banging his roommate. So he decided to hang out with his ex-girlfriend Ginger. Yes. They never clarified if these two were dating, they were just really close friends in the original series. But he probably does love her. There's at one point, basically, where he doesn't like the fact he got the powers, but he got the powers anyway. He crushes his own helmet, gets it back. He goes through that throughout this book. And at one point, you have a cover. You have Spider-Man like, yeah. He says, rub it in. Now, the only reason why Spider-Man makes a guest appearance in this volume, well, same reason why he guest appearance last volume. Because he appeared in the first volume, so why not? Not a bad idea to do. And not really bad volume. It's a shame this book got canceled after only 7 issues. The book was really good. And can you believe this is written by the same guy who did Savage Dragon? Yes. I'm going to give Noah Volume 3 a 9 out of 10. Next up, we're discussing Infinity Incorporated. Issues number 5 through 24 and number 1. Throughout issues 5 through 9, it is, well, actually more like 5 through 10. It's still part of the Generation Saga. Which you have this weird opening where we're in the morgue and we see this beautiful woman. She's butt naked. She's about to be autopsied. Only this beautiful woman just happens to be Wonder Woman of Earth 2, who's got a little bit of gray streak in her hair. Yeah. And the whole thing is that Ultra Humanite is behind something and turned the JSA evil in this book, along with presumably Brainwave. They had the good fight. It was really interesting fight between Ultra Humanites and Brainwave Senior, and Brainwave Senior dies. And this culminates basically like, okay, so they establish a team. They get their own ride. Basically, this Skymobile, the Starmobile, this flying green car. Issue 12 is basically the press conference because they had to have a press conference, and the whole team outs themselves because one of the reporters getting very. I'm from the Inquisitor, and Silver Scarab, you are Hector Hall, the son of Hawkman Hawkgirl. And he's like, yeah, you are correct about that, I am Hector Hall. And he just takes out his mask, of course he knows the fact, oh yeah, like, he knows the fact, oh yeah, Lila, this is Lyra Trevor. People know her awesome mom being basically Wonder Woman and retired Air Force General Steve Trevor. And then, like, the whole team outs themselves. Like, Albert Rabbit, basically, Nuclear, who became Atom Smasher. He outs himself, the fact that he's the son of basically a famous NASA scientist, which she had no idea her son was a superhero. And also, we have Northman outing himself, the fact that he's also Hawkman's godson. Okay. Of course, people know about the fact that Huntress is the daughter of Batman, and Power Girl being the cousin of Superman, though she was raised as his niece. Because I remember hearing in one book she called him Uncle Clark. Yes. And Starman, well, he's about to out himself. Basically, Starman is actually this is actually Skyman. Yeah, this is Skyman, who is Sylvester Pemberton. And then they're interrupted by the way, this before it gets interruption, this issue has a debut of Yelena Montez as a reporter. You're thinking, who's this beautiful babe? Who is Hispanic? Who is this woman? This woman is the future second Wildcat, making her debut here in issue 12 of this very book. A little bit later on, we get the debut of Beth Chapel, the second Dr. Midnight. Yep, another Roy Thomas creation who, for some reason, decided to have her die in the 90s in an issue of Eclipso, along with Yelena, where she's part of this suicide group. Well, basically all but in name only of the Suicide Squad to take down Eclipso, and the whole team dies except for the Creeper. And I find that kind of weird. And they references in the JSA book where they were once killed by Eclipso and now they're alive. Yeah, then they're interrupted by the Harlequin. No, not Harlequin. Harlequin. It's one word. It's a play on the card game type of thing with this character. This is the original Harlequin who debuted back, I believe, fighting in Flash comics as enemy of the Flash. Fought the Golden Age Green Lantern a couple times. She'll come to play a little bit later on. And they have a brief scuffle with her. And then, like, not long after this, in issue 15 of this book, we debut of a character who is still around this very day, running the DEO Director Bones, here known as Mr. Bones. And later on, next issue, debuts this group, Helix. This supervillain group, this original group for this book, because we have heroes, we gotta have villains. Yep, we gotta do that for some reason. Yes, so then of course Nucleon is embarrassed about when he meets Beth Chapel, because she is a assistant to Dr. Midnight, the original one, that he's embarrassed with the fact she's seeing him in his underwear, so he takes a food tray to cover up his tiny whities. I thought this was funny. You could say, imply, maybe he's falling for Beth Chapel, because Beth Chapel is a very lovely woman in the book. Then she suffers an accident where she basically becomes the new Dr. Midnight. We also see the debut in these issues of Rick Tyler, the son of Rex Tyler, the original Hour Man, who becomes Hour Man in the book. Though he's got a weird costume in the book, where it's got a clock on it. He doesn't wear his father's costume years later. I'm trying to think what else they did issues. There's also a scuffle between Superman and Power Girl, where she wants to make her home in Metropolis, but Clark doesn't really want it at all for some reason. I don't know why. Then by the time issue 19 basically comes around, we start basically the tie-ins for Crisis on Infinite Earths, which that's stuff with Dr. Beth Chapel and the second Hour Man. That leads into the first annual for Infinity Incorporated, where we have shocking revelations about this book. So, it was mentioned in the press conference that they know that Alan Scott is basically their father, the original Green Lantern. So, they had no idea who the mother is, and this was a payoff for that. So they meet Rose and Thorn, a woman with a split personality who, like Harley Quinn, is no enemy of the Jay Garrick Flash, who, in her Rose personality, married Alan Scott, and they had, she was pregnant with 2 children, but she left them on their wedding night because of Thorn. It's a split personality that she has. That Thorn, basically Rose feared that the Thorn person was going to murder her brand new husband. So she left him on her wedding night. And Alan had no idea what happened. He just thought basically his wife left him. So then during the course of the issue, she dies, saving her 2 children, which she missed. She is the mother of Jade and Obsidian. And then Harley Quinn reveals that she is actually Molly Mundane, who was at one point Alan Scott's secretary, and she had fallen madly in love with him. And This is kind of weird. When she puts on her mask, she basically still has the red hair she has. Basically, look at me old pictures of her. It's when she looked back in the 40s. So she takes the mask off. Her hair is like gray, like Alan's is, but she's in very good shape for a woman basically who's. Now Alan Scott is, I'm guessing, presumably in his, because this is the 80s at this point in time. I'm guessing that he's probably in his 50s or 60s, and she's probably a little bit younger than he is, probably in her 50s, but she's already gray. And then, of course, he reveals not only that he's Alan Scott, because she's known that, and the fact that part of his hair, he's basically balding. So, they decide to have a wedding. And the best man is running late for the wedding. They're about to basically pronounce man and wife, husband and wife. The book that ran man and wife is 80s. Then, Dobby Dickles shows up. You're thinking, who the heck is Dobby Dickles? Dobby Dickles was a cab driver from the Alan Scott book from the 40s, and is his best friend, aside from the superheroes. And he gives basically the ring, they kiss, husband and wife. The book says man and wife by for husband and wife instead. And that leads to other stuff with... It's a really good comic. And in my opinion, it should get more trades collecting it, because there has been officially only one trade collecting this whole entire series. This series, in case you may have forgotten my comic history on this series, this was a little over 50 issues. If you're curious, like, how much? This book was, I think, like 53. Yes, 53. Now, I've already discussed the special for the series because they cross over with the Outsiders, so I'm not worried about that. So, at this point in time, with issue 24... Yeah, why am I stopping at 24? Because that's where the Crisis Universe stuff stops. That's my original plan was to stop with issue number 20, but I said I continue forward to that. By the way, 24 is appearance by Joni Thunder. Joni Thunder is a private investigator who's basically from the same period of time, who has an agency called Thunderbolt. And she's a fairly new character who had just shown up prior to this Arrow miniseries. I'll probably discuss at some point. Yeah, aside from the name, she has nothing to do with Johnny Thunder at all. No. And she basically becomes a recurring character in the Infinity Corporation book, so issue 22, kind of, on and off, until like the final issue of the book. But, great character. My guess is the reason why that Roy Thomas created this character is because we need a PI character in comics, so Marvel Comics at this point in time, in the 80s, who was the PI character debuted in the 80s? Dakota North. Except after her miniseries, she disappeared for 20 years for a pop-up in Daredevil. Jonathan Thunder occasionally appeared. Not much. Now, here's the thing about her. She has no relation to Johnny Thunder. Not at all. Here's kind of the weird thing. She does kind of exist in the current continuity. Kind of. Yeah, they brought Joni Thunder in the first Earth 2 comics. Yeah, where she's part of the Earth 2 World's End book. Yeah, she was brought in by the new writers of the book, which were Daniel H. Wilson, Margaret Bennett, and Mike Johnson. They're basically the ones who brought her in. Oh, and here's a little strange fun fact about this character. Did you know this character has never appeared on TV? You're like, really? Yes, really. Oh, yeah, and because it's the tie-ins to... Oh, by the way, before I continue with that thought, Helix, the group that Mr. Bones formed. Members are Arik, Baby Boom, Critter, Penny Dreadful, and Tal Jones. You're thinking, Penny Dreadful? That name sounds familiar. Wasn't it a TV show? It was. And I watched it, looked really interesting. I think it's Eva Green on the show. Penny Dreadful. Yeah, and she's no longer around. She got killed by Arid Windwalker in Cry for Justice. Yeah. Helix themselves are no longer active in comics. They Okay, so apparently there was a Helix series planned but never published. They mostly existed in Infinity Incorporated and appeared in Convergence Action Comics, and that was it. They were just recurring villains for Infinity Incorporated. Mm-hmm. But there is one character I should mention appeared in this book, if I can find it here. Oh yeah, they also fought Solomon Grundy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we also have appearance by Joni Thunders on the Bolt, who became a villain for some reason. I'm trying to find it here, because there was one issue. Yeah, at one point they have Harbinger with the book Obsidian. Yes. Oh, one thing I should mention though, the artist of this book. Yes, the artist. Beginning issue 14. Todd McFarlane takes over the artwork duties of this book. Now, he has gone on record and said he hated work on this book. Yes, because of this book, he refused to work on any group book since then. And if you're curious, how long was his run on the book? His run lasted to issue 37. He did the first annual. I did love the artwork there. He did both annuals, by the way. But yeah, he took over from the original artist of the book, who was... let's see. Oh yeah, there also is this person called Chroma, who is no longer around, sadly. They didn't really appear very much. No, appeared just a couple times in this book in the annual, and then next appeared in Just Like American Volume 3, and then he got killed off. Okay, so Don Newton was the previous artist of the book. Mm-hmm. And he basically did just 3 issues. But he was not the original artist of this book. No. The original artist was Jerry Ordway. Yeah, he did pretty much the first 10 issues of this book, which were amazing. Yeah. Loved every bit of his Infinity Incorporated stuff. Oh yeah, definitely. I thought it was fantastic. Oh yeah, he even did some artwork for All-Star Squadron. I'll discuss that in a bit. But yeah, Infinity Incorporated, he just did the first 10 issues. Yep. But what rating do I give issues 5 through 24 and the first annual for Incorporated? I give these issues a 10 out of 10. Just really good, really fun book. And next time, I'll be discussing New Warriors Volume 2 and All-Star Squadron. Yep, 2 more really good books. Okay, so that's pretty much a particular view. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications, and do not hit the like button. See you next video. Bye.